Hey Alpha fam, welcome back to another episode of Alpha Commission. Today on Alpha Commission, of course, we're going to go over that pump on the Bitcoin chart as well as the green day in the stock market. Guys, the stock market just continues to absolutely be pumping. And I don't want to toot my own horn here, but about 6 months ago, 7 months ago, guys, in January, I did mention that if we did get this breakout from what I identified as a falling, broadening wedge, that we would likely come bouncing up to test this neckline. And if we were able to break that neckline without losing the right shoulder, we did get a little bit of a wick down, but we held the Bollinger Band's midline on the weekly, that if we were able to hold that, that we would be seeing targets up to $4,600. And guys, if you took that trade with the Alpha Fam, then you are absolutely killing it, because this stock market just roared. And there was a question when we did have this pullback right here. Was I wrong? Was the Alpha Fam going to end up resulting in a possible kiss of death? And I did outline that scenario because it was a very real possibility. But guys like Crypto Capo and Michael Burry from The Big Short, they were all telling you to sell everything. And I was saying, no, wait for us to test the neckline. And if we succeed in grabbing that neckline, we are going to see $4,600 on the S&P 500, and that is exactly where we pumped to almost 6 months later, guys, almost to the dollar. And I even backed it up with another structure, and that structure, of course, was the inverted head and shoulders. And so here we saw an inverted head and shoulders here, and I noticed the neckline right here when we were down at $4,000, and then we had a massive rejection, and everyone said we are going to drop to hell. But I said, no, we have to violate this shoulder before we could see that possible kiss of death, and then we would have another chance to lose it if we lost the neckline. So originally this would have been down here, and then for our next test we had to put it up here to see if we could hold the neckline. And I'll just turn off the price action so that you can see that head and shoulders right here, right here, guys. And we just found that measured move, which did take us to 4,600. And guys, again, the Alpha Fam is just absolutely killing it. We nailed the stock market to the penny 6 months in advance. And we still did proper risk management by warning about the possible measured move to retest the pre-COVID high should we lose the shoulder of the market. We did not. And also the possible kiss of death should we lose the Bollinger Band's midline outside of this diagonal structure here. In other words, creating what would have been a failed breakout or a dead cat bounce that could have likewise brought us down to a pre-COVID highs or even much, much lower. But instead, we are in a bona fide bull run, a bull market. And we have been in that bull market by similar standards as I applied to the crypto market ever since back here in November 2022. Yes, there was some wobble, but we did get ahead of that Bollinger Band midline. and we did start to build in that market breadth. So again, guys, on the S&P 500, Alpha Commission 1, El Capo, and Michael Burry 0. Okay, so who's killing it? The Alpha fam is just absolutely killing it, guys. Let's go ahead and jump over to crypto. We can see that Bitcoin is having a little bit of a pump there after that kind of scary dump that we did have. However, in the grand scheme of things, this is really just a small dip. And if you just zoom out and just ignore the day to day, you can see that, like the stock market, we are in a bull market, bull market, bull market, bull market, guys. And that bull market doesn't end until we break my lines in the sand. And what are those lines in the sand? Well, I do have an update for you today because, of course, we did get a new week and a new 2 week session over this weekend. And so I do have new volatility pivots for both of those time frames at 28,925 and also 28,365. Now, I'm not opposed to this chart finding its way down there and retesting that area and then grabbing some of this liquidity over here to use as rocket fuel to potentially pump harder. What we don't want to do is lose this area and lose this Bollinger Bands midline on the weekly, because if we get embedded down there, then we could lose the bull market, guys. And so, yeah, I mean, that's why I have this diagonal right here. That diagonal and that green bar, those are to tell us where our safety lines are, okay? We don't want to break below that. And so, even if I go to a lower time frame, that diagonal is going to stay there to remind us of the lines that we don't necessarily want to cross. Now we can wick down there. We wicked there here, and we wicked there here. And so if we get a little bit of a scary wick, that's not a big deal, but we want to pop up above this green bar as soon as possible. And then should we hold above that green bar, that's going to be the tradable moment to the upside for me, should we break down to this area. Otherwise, we are holding our lows around 30,000 extremely well. And so that means that, we are pretty much like stuck on this shelf, stuck over here. And there's a chance that we could just, use one of these candles, kind of bounce the way that we did on these older candles. We could just do that straight up. And of course, we don't want to lose this area, because we've seen what happens when we lose that area. And we could come back down and test, 20K, 15K. We could actually do that, Alpha Fam. Okay, so just be aware that these are the ranges that we are talking about. And but there is still a pretty good chance that we can just pump out of nowhere. So yeah, I mean, especially the longer we go sideways, consolidating at this resistance, that's more likely that we're going to pump to the upside. If we do start breaking down, then it becomes that question, right? Whether we're going to lose the Bollinger Bands midline or not. So I think that's enough macro. I've talked about this on the last few episodes, but let's just go ahead and zoom in to the daily level. And on the daily level, you can see what we have going on here is really we have this kind of broadening, wedge, which is, maybe a megaphone pattern, some people call it. And, that would suggest that we do have the possibility to pump back up to the top of this range, which would be somewhere around 32,000 as this range is rising. That's the megaphone, right? And so, of course, we could pump even higher should we be able to cross the midline of that channel. Now, we also have this kind of bullish flag here, which did end up breaking down. And so that one could have a measured move to the downside. Now, what's the measured move of that drop should that happen? Well, let me just take the height of that channel and drop it down from the point of the retest. And you can see, ooh, boom, guys, like right at my 1 to 2 week volatility pivot zone, and we don't violate the Bollinger Band's midline on the weekly there, which suggests that we'll still be in bull market territory. And if we bounce off of that, then again, even if we break down and do a measured move off of this to the downside, we could just skyrocket off of it because we will have grabbed this liquidity, basically triggered everyone's stop loss, okay? And then also retested the chance over here for people to buy in who missed that pump. And so that could just launch us to the upside, guys. Now, if we don't find buyers, of course, we could continue to break down, but it seems like there was a healthy number of buyers the previous time. So again, I'm not bearish. I think that it would be great for us to just have a flash wick down here and then just go. Okay, that's what I want to see happen, and that would give us an opportunity to buy in at great levels. What could I see going wrong? What I could see going wrong is if we just kind of grind sideways forever, and these levels just kind of drop with us, and this Bollinger Band midline just kind of like starts to kill over, and it just takes until the end of the year for us to finally pump. Okay, like that would be a terrible situation for me, but sometimes it be that way, right? I mean, look at this, right? How long did that take? We're only a fraction of that. So could we do something like that all the way out until October? Yeah, I mean, we actually could. We could just stall for time, like some crazy weirdo chart, and then just pump out of nowhere. Okay, just one day we just pump out of nowhere. Now, of course, the Alpha Fam was following this wedge the entire time, so we nailed the entry on that one. We absolutely nailed the entry on that one. But yeah, you really have to watch the markets, when they behave this way, because you could suddenly get a $5,000 move to the upside after being a little bit underwater for a while, and it hurts to miss that. So just pay attention, Alpha Fam. Okay, I'll give you regular updates. Of course, I took a couple days off from the channel just because we're the same price that we've been like every day. Like, what am I going to tell you, right? So I just want to remind you of where we are in the context of the bigger picture, and also how we could move. Now, we are getting at this type of area where we do see kind of weird volatility moves coming up. You can see the purple outline is the Bollinger Bands there. You can see how we have this big area right here, and then it becomes like a really narrow area. So that does suggest that we could be getting into one of these type of zones where there's just a pump out of nowhere. Okay, so just be on guard. There could be a pump up or a pump down just out of nowhere. Volatility is direction neutral, and whenever volatility gets super low, there's just a randomness to it. Okay, it's the randomness of the market where it could just pump up or it could just pump down, and you can get wrecked that way. So just be careful. Okay, just be careful. And I'm just here to be your friendly guide. I'm not making necessarily a call, but if you do look at this kind of flag here, we did break down and we're retesting it right now bearishly, but should we flip back up there, we could potentially come to the top of it, and should we fail to flip the top of it, then the measured move is down at the bottom of this pivot zone that I have. Just a reminder there. So yeah, I mean, structurally, that's what we're looking at. Now, I can give you some key levels just to flesh that out. And if we do go ahead and put those daily key levels on there, then you can see that on the daily, we will get above our momentum pool and above the pivot, which is going to be our best chance for bullishness, around 30,625-ish. Okay, around there, we're going to be in pretty good shape. 30,675-ish if you want to just be kind of 100% on that. And then bulls will actually be in control above 31,448. Now, currently we are below the volatility pivot, and we're just kind of hanging on to the neutral point of control. So we're just in this neutral area, this momentum pool. And we are maintaining our hold momentum here at 29,862. Should we lose that, we'll be under the pivot, under the pool, and that would be a shorting opportunity, perhaps to this zone down here, which happens to correspond to the bearish control zone at 28,450. Now, we don't lose our alpha energy until we're below 28,801, and so the intensity of the move to the upside, we've been pushing to the upside for quite a while, right? Even if we're going sideways right now, that doesn't diminish unless we're under that 28,800. So as long as we just wick down there and get back on top, then we still actually have a fairly energetic chart to the upside. And I would expect this thing to continue to go at least sideways and up. But not down. Again, like the bears won't be in control until under 28,450. Now let's go ahead and jump over to the 6 hour if you just want a little bit faster trading period there. And guys, you can see very similar thing to the daily. Really, we just have this momentum pool that we're inside of. We're underneath that diagonal on this kind of channel up here. And in this case of the 6 hour, we are above the volatility pivot. So that does suggest that should we get on top of this pool above 30,433, that's going to give us a fairly good chance at testing the bullish control zone at 30,881, which if we did flip that, we could continue to go. But we would just be grabbing liquidity, and then perhaps we come back to the bottom of this channel somewhere around that 30,300 and maybe go sideways or up. Should we break down, that would again be bearish, and we really start to get very bearish underneath the 29,723, as we would not only have lost the bearish control zone at 29,900-ish, but we would also lose the pool and the pivot. So that could easily push us to the downside and testing these lows. Now we do have this diagonal here that does form that broadening megaphone pattern. And so if we did look at just this on a wick basis, if we had a wick down to 29,000, that would be perfectly consistent with the megaphone pattern, even though, again, the measured move of this channel would be down here to 28,300-ish, right? So yeah, guys, that's basically the 6 hour in a nutshell. Again, I'll just point out that currently we're getting rejected off of that neutral point of control. And so if we do just look at the Bollinger Band's midline here, this teal, EMA, then we do need to get above 30,300 just to be on the bullish side of that. So we are still on the bearish side of the Bollinger Band's midline, and this is just a mean reversion so far. It's nothing particularly special, just a bearish retest until we flip that area and hold it. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up there for the new charts. I do want to show you what we've been doing on the hourly, because I do just give the hourly in the Discord, so the link to that is in the description of the video below. But you can get some pretty interesting plays quite often off of those hourly charts there. And so here's just just kind of a snippet of what you could be seeing on those hourly charts there. And you do see that there are quite a bit of good results where if we have a momentum shift, we broke into the pool underneath the pivot, re-entered the pool, took that short, re-entered the pool. You can long that. A little bit of a fake out here, stopped at entry, took another pretty epic short, got above the Bollinger Band's midline here, trading it on the 15-minute, the 1 hour chart on the 15-minute, and then you could have taken a long right there, or you could have taken it at the entry of the pool, and we're now pushing up off of that even higher now. So again, like when we do have these momentum shifts, you can take a discretionary play And so that could have just all been a Bollinger Bands play right there. But I cover those tactics inside of the Discord. We have some people who really like to do, snipe scalps, and that can be good money when the market is just going sideways, right? And there's not really a big play, so maybe you're doing those little leveraged moves. Additionally, I can show you something else that we were looking at, which is the AVAX chart at believe it was BitGet. And this was a setup that we had going in the Discord here, and it ended up being just a pretty mega play, guys. So, we did have a lot of um, kind of fits and starts over here where, we initially took this short off of the rejection off the Bollinger Band midline here. This was actually a 15-minute setup that we were trading on the 1 minute or the 5 minute. But yeah, I mean, this thing just went right to the penny of this bullish control zone off of this momentum pool player right here, and it was getting pretty choppy. And so the reason for the expletive is that I had actually exited my position during this chop. We had a couple fake outs, just one or two fake outs here, and I thought the pool was degrading because it was a 15-minute. But it seems that this strategy is so powerful that I've created that it can actually endure over several hours. And just look at the play that we got off of that, right? Look at the entry. Look how clean it is. There's no wicking out right here. Once we got that, it was a solid, almost 2.5%, which of course on leverage is huge. And guys, I mean, just look where we bounced off of right here, off of that alpha energy, right off of the volatility pivot. We had a check back there after breaking the neutral point of control. This thing just kind of exploded to the bullish control zone. And look at it testing the bullish control zone just over and over again. I mean, we really had a war here with the Bears and the Bulls. You can see the story of the chart in these lines that I create for you. And so, again, guys, I just suggest that you check out the Discord and interact, ask questions, recommend coins to take a look at. And, let's try to, build this strategy together and make it perfected for when the real bull market, when everything's just flying, comes around, and we can absolutely kill it, guys. All right, so I am going to stop it there. Guys, that's your alpha for the day. Stay safe and happy trading.